Welcome, fellow music creators. This is Expressivo StaffPad iPad Basics video number 2. I'm Marshall Shaw, delighted to share music creation ideas with you to help celebrate the arts in you. Today we are going to look at creating a duet with 2 contrasting instruments. Of course, you can choose any 2 instruments. For a title, let's see, here's your hint. What is our melody? Well, we've got Twinkle Twosome, or Twinkly Twosome, with a subtitle I would say Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. For instrumentation, I suggest a flute because it's a mid to high instrument, and I think either bassoon or clarinet would be marvelous. So let's choose clarinet. Then I want to add a single staff piano so that I can notate the chords for our piece of music, so they will help direct the notes we pick for the clarinet part. The utility provides the chord symbols analyzed by StaffPad, and it's fabulous. It's really great to see this, especially for students of music, to get an understanding of chord progressions. So here you go. We have C major, 4/4 time, and of course StaffPad will transpose the clarinet part from B flat to C as it's shown here in concert pitch. So we're going to do it in 4/4 and not like the 2/4 done by Mozart in his variations. Now I'm going to start drawing in the chords right now, and that takes some while. So let me just do that and come right back. So let's cue our instruments, our brass, for our walk through to that. Here we go. Aha, there we go. So you see on top, StaffPad has shown the chords for each bar, and within each bar there are sometimes 2 chords. So let's add our melody. And you see here I've started, and the quicker the better. And on the second bar we'd have that little ledger line problem. You just simply move them into place and you're ready to go. Let's finish it. Very straightforward. And there we go. So there's our melody for Twinkle Twinkle Little Star on a flute. Now we're going to look at the clarinet part. So to do so, I want to say that we are using a C chord in the first bar, an F chord, chord 4, back to C chord, chord 1, back to the F chord, chord 4, back to the C chord, and finally to chord 5, G, back to C. So in the first chord, the most important note, other than the root, is the third of the chord, determining whether it's major or minor, and we definitely want major for this. So I want to make sure the E is played at some point in that bar. Very important. And then in the F chord, it would be an A. And of course, back to the C chord, the E is the important one. The F chord would be A, and then the C chord, the E again, and the G chord would be the B, and of course finishing on the chord 1, C major. So let's start inputting our clarinet part, and it seems in this first bar that we're stuck with, it seems, E is the very popular note. So we have 4 E's. Let's go to bar 2. Now notice in the flute part that the note, the first 2 notes, high A. So that's the third of the chord already there in an F chord. So we're going to put in the root of the F chord, the first note, which is the F. And then in the C chord, we have to put the E. And then the next bar, same idea. We need to have A's followed by the C chord. The E is already present in the melody line, so we can have a choice of C or G. And we're going to go with the G for now. This is just the start. You can modify later. We're just going to fix one note. And then we're going to finish the piece with the third of the chord, which is the B, and then finishing it on a low E, and we're all set. So that is the duet. Let's hear it. Okay, so that was a straightforward arrangement, ready to go if you were using that in a classroom and it was more simplistic and you wanted something fairly accessible for starting students, let's say on recorder or on instruments like flutes and clarinets. But for this one, I want to make it a little more interesting. So let's work with the second beat of the first bar and make a passing note from the C to the E with eighth notes, and another passing note, a little different. This is starting on the D, and there we go, going from the D, E to the F of the next bar. And I'm going to slur these. Okay, now I want to say that the volume of the clarinet is too loud, so you can use the automation bar and you can basically bring it down, bring the total volume of the clarinet part down so it's not so loud. That's one way you can do that. You can add, of course, dynamic markings, crescendos, diminuendos, and so on. Okay, so the next one, have you noticed that we're going to have to do something with those Fs? And I think, again, one group of 4 eighth notes would be great. And just work with the ledger lines a bit. There we go. And watch how I create a group of 4. One beam does it all. One beam to unite all 4. Okay, and then I want to do something different with the half note. So let's add a quarter note followed by 2 eighth notes. And correct that little bit of mistake there. And from there, a little bit of articulation. So I'm adding staccatos. And any of this can be changed as you listen to it, modify it. This is just another draft. So we're on the third bar, and again, we've got 2 A's. Let's make them a group of 4 eighth notes, all of them in fact, and make it like a little ostinato. So A, C, A, C, G, C, G, C. There we go. And now this is more Mozart-like, a broken chord. And I would like to add a bit of articulation here. So I'm going to slur the inner 2 eighth notes of each group and staccato the other notes to give a bit of contrast. And then the final bar, something a little bit different. I've got the third of the chord already stated, so now the second beat I can change it to a G. But I want you to notice that there is a third between each of those notes, and you can add the in-between note to create passing notes. So watch how I do this. Okay, so let's move them into position, going from B down to the E. So that's one way of doing it, and it gives it more flow and motion in that final bar. So let's take away that, our notes, and let's give a listen to what it sounds like now. Oh, pass me a tissue. That was just beautiful. Bravo to the clarinetist. Now, let's continue. I'm going to work with the automation layer to bring the clarinet part out a little bit more than what it's been doing. because I want the listener to be able to hear those beautiful little broken chords right here. Okay, so now we're all set, and dynamics down at the end, and we're all set to move on. I am now going to mute the piano part because we don't need to hear that. So there's the piece. There's what we have so far. Let's work on the flute part now. Now I want it to be either quarters, eighths, or sixteenths for this. So right here, we're basically going to use passing notes, or one passing note, from the E to the G to give it a little bit of motion. Looking at this example, the 4 16th notes, the G, the E, and the G again are the notes that are within the chord, and the F is the passing note. In between the G and the E, as in E, F, G. In the next bar, the bar 2, the high G of the flute part, I would like to see that with some motion. So I think eighth notes, a G and an E as eighth notes, and then I would like to have a run of 16th notes from the top C down to the G that leads nicely to the F in the third bar. And we can do some articulation there, either slur the group of 4 notes or the first 2 only, up to you. So I think what I'm going to do is just slur the top C and the top B and have the A and the G tongued. So that's what I'm doing now, right there. Okay, now in the third bar, as a contrast to that little run from the flute part, I want to have another group of 16th notes on the third beat, like so. And it's very similar to within the first bar, where the F was the passing note, and the rest are just simply parts of the chord. So again, don't take a long time to put your 16th notes in. It's quite simple, recognizes the beams quite readily. Okay, now the last bar. I would like to have something a little different here. First things I'm going to do is to add a 16th group. And again, 2 beams. And slur the entire thing. Again, that's up to you. You can modify that. Now, I'm just adding some staccatos here in the third bar and the fourth bar. Let's hear what it sounds like now. Okay, so that's another performance of it, and it's given me some new ideas. I want to just shorten the last note. Okay, and you can do that with the quarter note followed by an S, which gives a quarter rest in StaffPad. And I might do a few things that are a little bit different, such as with this B, I would like to add a flat. And if you have a little bit of theory knowledge, you know that the C chord is chord 5 of F major. So that's why we can do a C7th chord at this point. You can think of it like a C7th, chord 5 of the F major. And so the B flat is perfectly acceptable. It's whether your ear will like it when it's played and your audience. Let's see what you think. Let's play it now and see if you agree. So, what did you think of the B flat, the C7th chord? I think I like it, and I would leave it, because it's a little bit different, and it shows me some musical intelligence, and that's great. To show that you're different, let's change the metronome marking to 130 beats per minute. Okay, so that's a great speed. You might find it a little bit fast, or you might want to slow it down. Whatever is good for you. So also, I think I'm going to do something a little different in this part here. I'm going to take away two C's and add eighth note rests. Listen to it and see what you think. I think I'm very happy with that. I would just spend a few minutes just tidying it up, maybe checking the articulations and just listening to it a couple of times, adjusting volumes. Thank you so much for watching. In the next video, I would like to use three instruments, one to give us our melody, one to be an accompaniment of some sort, and one to be the bass line. So I hope you'll join me for that. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. Please take a moment to subscribe if you haven't already, like if you have enjoyed it, and select the bell icon to let you know when I have produced another video. Keep making music and celebrate the arts in you as another way to communicate your thinking. See you soon in the next video. Take care.